Today's big idea. America's tariff shock has cracked the old trading order, but that doesn't predetermine a bad ending. Kilcrease and Gertz argue that there are three plausible paths. 1. Papering things over with shallow mini-deals. 2. Sliding into a beggar-thy-neighbor free-for-all. And finally, using a shock to build a better architecture with allies. The surprising hint, a war game run by CNAS showed that even offended partners still race to cut deals with Washington if the U.S. looks open to real bargaining. So a disclaimer, this is a summary of the author's opinions, and those authors being Emily Kilcrease and Geoffrey Gertz in their article, Tell Me How This Trade War Ends, The Right Way to Build a New Global Economic Order, in this past issue of Foreign Affairs, July-August 2025. So the lesson we can learn here is that tariffs can be leverage, but not a lifestyle. So the lesson is to channel them toward clear, achievable objectives, signal predictability, and give allies a path to move towards. That means using established tools, for example, Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974 for unfair practices, and Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act for national security. That forces fact-finding and public input, and slowing the impulse to shock the system every week. So unpredictable tariff whiplash reads as incoherence and invites partners to wait the U.S. out. So what this kind of war game revealed. In the CNAS simulation, the U.S. slapped broad tariffs on everyone, but kept the door open to alternatives. Most teams representing U.S. partners, Canada, Mexico, and Europe, bristled at the bullying, yet still rushed to the front of the line to negotiate, choosing access to the U.S. market over joining an anti-U.S. bloc. Even China's, quote, charm offensive underperformed. Advanced economies agreed to align with Washington on some counter-China measures once they sensed the deal space. That's leverage if you use it deliberately. So, dead-end finalities to avoid. One bad ending is a patchwork of shallow framework agreements, like 90-day truces. They give partial tariff relief for modest concessions and vague promises. That burns leverage and leaves the system's flaws intact. Worse would be tearing up rules altogether and going fully transactional. That the U.S. turns inward, others retaliate, and the 1930s come roaring back and miniature disorder prevails. So, external guardrails are already pushing moderation. So, courts are reviewing tariff authorities, Congress could rein some in, consumers are souring as prices bite, and when bond markets wobble, the White House pauses. All of that nudges Washington towards a more predictable course. So kind of a positive endgame for this. So building a new architecture. Start by relaxing the old non-discrimination reflex. Democracies should be allowed to favor one another while de-risking selectively from China. Keep trading from Beijing in low-end goods, but in strategic sectors, for example, chips and pharmaceuticals, maintain targeted tariffs and invest at home in R&D, manufacturing, and design, and coordinate with allies. So to offset any U.S.-China partial decoupling, deepen integration among like-minded partners, jointly use export controls, investment screening, and data security rules, tackle overcapacity, and set shared expectations for when national security trade limits are legitimate. Aim for concentric circles. So 1, deep economic security integration for close allies. 2, predictable rules-based trade for most partners. And 3, careful de-risking from competitors. Lock this in with legally binding commitments. Treat those 90-day frameworks as basically just waypoints and not the endpoints in themselves. So Kilcrease and Gertz's bottom line. You can scare partners or you can structure the system. If Washington wants a trade war that ends well, it should use tariffs as focused leverage, show its work through established processes, and architect a democratic, predictable order that's resilient to security shocks. Anything else is noise, and expensive noise at that. So basically, that's pretty much all I have here. And if you kind of enjoyed it or kind of just want to get more into the data, I recommend you read the article yourself for a bit more on the authors themselves. So Emily Kilcrease is a senior fellow and director of Energy, Economics, and Security Program at the Center of the New American Security. And from 2019 to 21 was in the first Trump administration, and then in the Biden administration, she was Deputy Assistant of U.S. Trade for Investment. And then Geoffrey Gertz was a senior fellow in the same place, and from 2022 to 2023, he was Director for International Economics on the U.S. National Security Council. So that being said, I'm going to leave this one here, and I will see you guys on the next one.